All right, guys, we're here with Ryan Sage, the co-founder of Formula Drift here in the United States. Welcome to Oversteer TV.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay. Um, you're coming in a couple of weeks down here into South Florida at Palm Beach International Raceway. Uh, as we were talking before we started the interview, I have a little connection up there and everything. We tried to get you down there years ago. What made you finally decide to pull the trigger and come down to South Florida and have an event down here?
I think we've been looking for an event in the Southeast for some time, or to take away some of our presence on the West Coast to do a little bit of expansion. So we've been looking for a while. We've been looking in Texas, and this kind of just seemed to work out. It wasn't anything super specific. The track had made some changes and was willing to put together a pretty good deal for both parties, pretty equitable for both parties, I think. And so it kind of just came together like that, and so we're excited to come down to South Florida and see how it goes.
Okay. Speaking of the track, since they've redid the road course and everything, are you still going to be using the back part of the track where they used to have drifting events before, or you're going to be up near the front near where the drag strip ends?
We're going to be using, if you were to imagine the track from above, we'd be using the section of track that is almost directly adjacent to or on the opposite side of the drag strip. And there's a little complex in there that comes in. We'll be going counter course into it, and bringing in some grandstands to fill in that area. So if you're looking at them on a map, I don't know what turn that is because they don't have it labeled in that way, but it's the complex right on the opposite side of the drag strip.
Right. I think they're calling it the keyhole now, that whole area.
Yeah.
They're coming into the pits and everything like that.
Yep.
Formula Drift. 10 years ago, nobody knew what drifting was in the United States. It's a whole new, totally complete form of motorsports. And there have been other people who tried to bring drifting into the United States and some of the bigger series, that other big series and everything like that. Everybody's fallen by the wayside, but you guys seem to have it down. You had your Long Beach event last month. You set a record attendance and everything. What do you attribute to your success? How are you making drifting work in the United States while other people can't?
I think we take a long view of things. We are relatively conservative when it comes to the way that we want to grow the business. We're looking at it as a legitimate business, a legitimate motorsport. So I think sometimes promoters can fall into the let's go run some events and get some cash and try to squeeze everything out of it. We've worked with the same sponsors since day one, plus adding sponsors in. All the drivers that have been around for the past 8 years since we've been around have grown with us, have communicated with us about their needs and about what it is that they have the capabilities to do or the capabilities to sell back to their sponsors. So in that vein, we have tried to grow the series as a collaborative effort between what we're trying to accomplish and get out of the sport, and then at the same time, what the drivers and the teams are trying to get out of the sport. And the biggest factor of it is what can the fan support and what can the sponsor support, and all those things have seemed to kind of mesh together in a positive way. And we can't take all the credit. I look at what we do as kind of providing the template, or the blank palette, if you will, or blank slate, and the drivers and the teams are the ones that kind of apply the paint. So I think in that sense, we've been able to capitalize on an opportunity, and it's worked out pretty well for us and the community as a whole so far.
Coming to South Florida, you're going to have that first event down here, and drifting is huge out in the West Coast, California, places like that. And as anybody who follows drifting knows, it originally as a sport that started in Japan. You have a large Asian community out west. Over here, you don't have that Asian community. What do you think is going to your guys going to have to do to bring out the people who? You can walk around Miami and Palm Beach and you talk about drifting. A lot of people never even heard of it. Still, it's still a growing sport. What are you going to do different to try to get the people to come out for your event?
Well, and it may take some time for them to be exposed to the sport. The best example that I can use would be, our event at Road Atlanta. That was one of probably the most non-diverse markets that we had gone to since its inception. But since that time, and it was the first event that we ever did, it's become probably one of our most successful and most popular events. In the Atlanta area, it's a primarily Caucasian-based audience, and with not as much diversity as we get in Southern California. But the sport of drifting as a whole, and Formula D, has become a lot more diverse than just the Asian community that from where it came from. Especially in Southern California, where we see now that the Asian community, in terms of our polling, is more of a minority, and we have a much more mixed bag of people that are coming out to the events. So I think in taking that approach, we will do whatever we can to reach out to the Puerto Rican community, whatever we can to do to reach out to the general motorsports community, the people that are already coming to PBIR, and we've got a fairly good group and a good network of people in the area that are helping us support the event, whether it be the car show crowd or people that are interested in coming out to an event for the weekend. We've slated our hours towards the latter part of the evening, to keep the heat down and to hope for good weather, and hope that brings people out both on Friday and Saturday. The show goes until, I believe, 11 o'clock at night. It starts at 2 p.m. So the majority of the competition and the activities will be done during an hour that we hope that you're not in sweltering heat. So I think a combination of those things, we're hoping for a good event, and we try not to come in with too many expectations. We want to put on a good show, and we're in it for the long haul to try to build an event out, and so we'll see how it goes.
All right. You mentioned stuff like car shows, stuff like that. So your event is not just going to be going out watching cars drift. There's going to be other stuff going on, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we work with the Fat Lace crew from Southern California, Northern California, that they do the tour with us. They'll be bringing their brand out. They've done a really good job in trying to capture the really unique car show crowd that now is so, I think, segmented because of the lack of organized national car shows. They bring that element to the table. Of course, we've got a huge vendor village, and a lot of these sponsors are bringing in their own forms of entertainment. So we look at it as, we try to promote the sport as a drifting event, but within that, you have various different types of entertainment that, people will stick around all day. I mean, I can tell you from experience, especially in events like Road Atlanta and some of our Southern California events, that, people will come out 2 hours before the gates even open, and they won't leave until the last round happened. And that seems to be the same for any event that we do. So they're there for the entertainment. They're there to meet the drivers. They're there to, shoot some chatter with people that they want to connect with. And so it's an all-day festival. I don't know if I could personally do it, but our fans seem to appreciate that and spend a bunch of time out at the event. So it's interesting.
Okay. Let's say you got somebody who's heard about drifting, maybe seen a couple of clips on YouTube and stuff like that. What would you tell them what to expect and what to look for when they come out to their first Formula Drift event?
In terms of the judging criteria, or just general drifting?
Just general. Just you got a couple of people, never been to a drifting event. You want to make sure they have a good time. What would you tell them to do?
I think the best way for me to describe drifting is, I always look at it as like the last lap of a cup race. That's what everybody looks forward to, the guy doing a burr down in the infield and everybody screaming and he's jumping up on the fence. That's every lap of what we do. Essentially we consolidate that into a 30 to 45 second run between two drivers, and they're literally trying to rip each other's heads off and take each other's doors off. So in that essence, you're going to have a high level of competition. You're going to have a high level of entertainment. I don't know any other motorsport that does that on a consistent basis. I think that's why that you can attribute a high level of popularity to drifting right now. When you add in the personalities of the sport, that they are as exciting as a Travis Pastrana, a Brian Deegan, a Shaun White, you create another layer on top of that I think makes the sport so entertaining and fascinating. And you find very rabid fan bases for each of these drivers. So it's an entertainment, it's an art form, it's a competition, it's motorsports, it's action sports. It has a lot of different attributes that people could come and enjoy, even if they knew nothing about it. I mean, a perfect example that I like to share a lot when I'm talking to people about the sport is, I'm 31 years old. I've been doing this for 10 years now, 8 years for Formula Drift, and My mom didn't even know what I did for pretty much my entire adult life. And finally, I had her come out to an event, and her favorite driver is Reese Millen, and my dad's favorite driver is Vaughn Gittin Jr. And they've got this little thing going on, and they're fans on their Facebook page. So even people in their mid 50s, which how my parents are, can enjoy the sport knowing nothing about it.
Well, Ryan, I want to thank you for coming on Oversteer TV. This has been Ryan Sage, co-founder of Formula Drift. I'm going to try to make it out there Friday. Check it out, and hope to see you there.
Yeah, for anybody watching, it's June 3rd and 4th at Palm Beach International Raceway. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
All right.